Good evening. My name is Mallory. I am a parent. I am a activities director at Juniper Village in Monroeville, and I am the communications secretary for Monroeville Area Pride and Community Aid. But tonight I am speaking as something simpler than all of those titles. I am speaking as someone who believes in how democracy is supposed to work. Over the last 2 weeks, one question has been asked repeatedly. Who holds council accountable? We do, the voters. Before I worked with older adults, I was a teacher. And one of the first things teachers learn is that rules only matter when they are applied consistently. Authority only matters when it is exercised appropriately, because every action teaches a lesson. Over the past few weeks, our community has experienced a civic moment that many of us have never seen at this scale in Monroeville. After a member of this council posted publicly a horrific accusation of harmless community and contributed to veiled threats to the library's budget.
Make sure you're directed at me, please.
I'm sorry. More than 70 residents, parents, taxpayers, and neighbors and library patrons attended a library board meeting to show their support for the library. At the conclusion of that meeting, the library board made its decision. Whether people agreed with that decision is beside the point. The process worked. Public input was received, the board deliberated, and a decision was made. What concerns residents is what happened next. 4 days later, that decision was reversed, not through a public meeting of council, not through a vote, not through an ordinance or a resolution, but outside the public process that is supposed to govern municipal action. The Monroeville Home Rule Charter is clear that council exercises its authority as a body through public meetings, votes, ordinances, and resolutions. It is also clear that individual council members do not possess authority on their own and are not permitted to direct municipal employees outside the established chain of command. Likewise, municipal ordinance assigns authority over library administration to the library board. But let me be clear, I'm not here to argue legal interpretation. My point is much simpler. Individual council members do not have the authority to override a public process on their own. So the question is not only what happened, but how it happened. Because if multiple council members acted outside a public vote, and if municipal staff were pressured to reverse a decision reached through public process, then we are no longer talking about a disagreement. We are talking about a breakdown in the basic principles of representative government. And so this brings me back to teaching. When you give students a rule and then ignore it when the outcome becomes inconvenient for you, then it's all out the window. You teach that rules are optional for people with enough influence. So I have one question for this council. What did this council teach our community? Because this is bigger than one decision or one display. It is about whether the boundaries of government authority actually mean something. Like many communities, we often struggle with civic engagement. We elect unopposed candidates. Many residents pay little attention to local government until something forces them to. And perhaps that is part of why this situation unfolded the way it did. Because for a long time, not enough people were paying attention, but we are paying attention now. Across the country, many people have become concerned about what happens when officials test boundaries, bypass established processes, or act as though accountability is optional. We may not be able to control what happens in Washington, but we can decide what happens in Monroeville. We can decide whether our local government follows the rules that govern it. We can decide whether public processes are respected. And we can decide whether authority remains accountable to the people who entrusted it. Seeing what a lack of civic engagement has done to our country, many of us are no longer willing to assume that someone else is paying attention. We are paying attention. And if anyone believed that this decision would come and go without scrutiny, without questions, or without accountability, I think the response from this community has provided a very clear answer. The people of Monroeville are paying attention. We know the difference between process and power. We know the difference between authority and overreach. We know that public office does not place anyone above public accountability. You work for us, and we are watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Valerie Warning.